I'm trying to find out.
We're good. Okay. All right, we'll call to order 6:30. Our meeting, before we begin, I just want to say happy belated birthday to Councillor Joe Martell, whose birthday was on, I believe, the 22nd, which was, we shared it with Port Day this year. I heard that you were sung happy birthday, so we won't do it again tonight. But it is Chris's
That is a
birthday.
relief.
It is Chris's 23rd birthday today, so
Yes.
want to say happy 23rd
Oh,
birthday
good.
to Chris.
Thank you. You're the bit hard.
Yeah. You're looking really good for your age. All right, the second item on our agenda is our Indigenous land acknowledgement statement. As we gather, we are reminded that the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal is situated on the traditional territory of Indigenous peoples dating back countless generations, which is rich in history and home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people today. As a township, we have a responsibility for the stewardship of the land in which we live, work, and play. And today, this meeting is still home to this meeting place is still home to Indigenous people. And we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on and call this land home. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Deputy Mayor, you have that item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and second by Chris Rhodes. The municipality council approves the agenda as presented.
Changes to or there's anything? Hearing none, then I'll call the question. All in favor? Disclosure, pecuniary interest, conflict of interest, and the general nature thereof. Does anyone have a conflict or declaration to make today? Moving on then to delegations and presentations, I'd like to welcome Corey Lockwood for a presentation or a delegation on the draft wetland mapping issue. Corey, you can come up to the podium. 10 minutes speaking time, Corey, if you. Yeah, I didn't think you would, but.
Thank you, everyone, for letting me speak this evening. The reason I was in, and I think I spoke to Tori already this week, is it came to my attention a week ago Sunday that the provinces or the conservation authorities are changing the wetland mapping in the area. The consultations have been going on since June 3rd. And I never heard of it till last week, and it was through someone that works in the conservation, one of the authorities that asked him to name this, that brought it to my attention because he didn't feel that they were doing this right. So that person, we have a picture of that. Oh, yeah, there's four. So there's one of the things that they did is the conservation, it looks like they just kind of blanketed entire woodlots. I think it's something that we, as a municipality, if we bring that one, scroll down. So, sorry, the other direction. I'll show you. So here's one up in Oxford Station, and I'll show you a couple of pieces. Yep. This is where we're proposing to do a subdivision. This is the highest part of the ground that they've identified. If you can go down a little bit now. And that was a week ago. That was in, or the other direction, sir. And that was on last Sunday, a screenshot. And if you go, keep going to the other one up, no, the other way, sorry. And now a week later, it's gone. But you don't see it well in this, but they've added a whole bunch of property over here to it. So if a homeowner was to go on there and look, and it's like a week ago Sunday, and that property wasn't identified, and now it is. How are they supposed to know? You know, they wouldn't have the knowledge to bring it forward. And then Totem Ranch Road, if we scroll down, or the other direction, so keep going. And that's where I live. Keep the next one. So right here, here's where our shop is. And basically they've identified everything between Totem Ranch Road and Jokum Road as wetland. This is 44. They've completely covered the whole entire parcel with wetland. There's an 80-acre piece next to my shop, and it goes out north of Beckstead's that does have some unevaluated wetlands on it, according to the provincial mapping. And if you go to the next one, that's below it. That was last Monday. A week later, there's none of it in, which is great for me. And I should keep my mouth shut, but there is unevaluated wetland in here. that, and so what I'm trying to make the point is there is how is our, if you did hear of it, because they've kept it kind of very quiet, very quiet. If you did hear of it, when you look at this and your property's not in it, so you don't say anything, it's not of your concern, then this all passes and it's changed. I don't understand how it's changing through the, like, from day to day through the process and how people are supposed to be able to fight back against it. I think as a, I'm coming to ask the council, I think we should be, if you guys can put a motion forward, I've asked the same of North Rental to have this thing extended. I think we should be, if you could reach out to the other mayors of the United Counties, because it's removing people's net worth from their properties. And if you have say, just use this as an example, these homes here are now in wetland, homes on the other side aren't in wetland. When they go to resell their homes, there's quite a significant decrease in the value of the property if it's got wetland designation. Under the current rules, what they're saying is you can build up, if you have a lot of record, you can build your home. If you've got an existing home, you could put up to a 50 square meter or 500 and some square foot addition. In the last 2 years or 3 years since the affordability has gone like this, we've had lots of inquiries for in-law suites, accessory dwelling units on properties, which they wouldn't be able to permitted to do. Swimming pools, detached garage, anything is all gonna have to go through South Nation. And when I was at a meeting today with Rideau Valley asking them about it, I asked them a couple things. I asked them why they didn't send out to notify people. They said cost or price of stamps is well worth it, considering you could be stripping away hundreds of millions of dollars of equity off all the properties. And I said, how are you gonna regulate this? Or how are we gonna look after it? Because if, and I don't know, she's supposed to get back to me on their current acreage that they're covering, that they're regulating, and what they're gonna be regulating in the future. If, and these are just numbers made up in my head, but if they're currently regulating 30,000 acres, and now they're gonna regulate 300,000 acres, how are they gonna handle that influx of extra paperwork, and it might go from a month to 2 months, which is very fast out with the conservation authorities. Usually it's longer than that, to 1, 2, 3 years. And they didn't really have an answer for me on what they're gonna do with that. One of the concerns I have is I think we'll see an influx of illegal building. People will just say, screw it, and they'll just do what they're just gonna do it. Because the cost, like I think we're all aware of what the cost of living's got to in this country, and cost of construction is outrageous. And I think something like this will make it that much worse for the cost of the municipality. We got to staff up here to regulate that. So I guess I'll leave it at that, and I guess just if we could push it forward to the county council or whoever it needs to be to get this thing extended and make it mandatory. And make it mandatory that they inform people. And I'll finish off with the bit of research that I've done this week. I guess these are the last few, the South Nation, Rideau Valley, and Raisin River are the last 3 conservation authorities in the province to do this. This was regulations brought out a decade ago or more from our previous government, that they had to start regulating unevaluated wetland. These are the last 3 municipalities. According to, and this is not fact, but according to the private side planners that we deal with, they said that Mississippi Mills and that they just copied and pasted basically what the unevaluated wetlands were on provincial mapping, and that's where they left it. They didn't, what they've done here is closer to what the woodblock mapping is, not just the unevaluated wetlands. So they covered a much greater area. The effect on farmers, where they won't be able to clear their own land for agricultural uses, it's pretty major, and I think each landowner affected should have a handwritten letter or a letter delivered to them. I guess where I'm getting at. Thank you very much, folks, for the time.
Corey, if you don't mind, can you stay just for a sec, just in case any of the council members have questions for you? I'll just go quick, Chris.
No, I see exactly what you're saying. Looking at 2 properties that I know, for instance, and it looks like they've just taken the tree line and dragged it along where there was trees. There must be swamp, and I've been in part of those areas, and I know it's not swamp. There's a river that runs part of it, and so no, it's quite concerning actually. I don't have anything else to say except we got to take a look at this.
Thanks. Deputy?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Corey, for your presentation. I was on the phone Friday and today with South Nation. The mapping is getting refined hourly. In other words, the wetlands they had in there, you'll see it disappearing now. And as you notice with the Beckstead one, and you'll notice that, you'll continue to notice that. The answer is they provided South Nation with 16 members of municipality, which we knew 2 weeks ago. That's the first that we've ever heard of it. They notified the First Nation stakeholders, 9 different agriculture organizations, they said. Newspaper, online advertisement also posted June of 2024. That's how they got around it. Now, I sent out an email today and asked one question: who decides of why this becomes wetland? And question being is they took all the public data they had at this time and just almost pasted, like you said, made it all wet. So then the second question was, did you notify everyone? I just concerned about Eversberg Cardinal. So I said, did you notify everyone by registered mail in Eversberg Cardinal? I haven't got a response. But those are the 2 questions I've asked, and I'm gonna follow up tomorrow, and I'm going down June Thursday at 3 p.m. So, and she gave me an update of some of the other questions, frequently asked questions, which is on their website, of what to do and what not to do. The understanding I'm getting, and it's now I'm not sure after talking to Mr. Dobie before the meeting, is they're the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. This was supposed to be from the provincial government that they want to across the board. Provincial government wants it all wetlands the same in the province. And they downloaded it to South Nation and to Raisin River and to Reed. That's what I have, but I'm waiting for more questions.
And so I guess is if the other conservation authorities just took the province's unregulated wetlands and copied that, why couldn't these conservation authorities just do that? Not even if I agree with that, but at least it would cut their jurisdiction in half. And where me as a developer, and is very frustrated, we got one side of the government telling we need more housing. Right, and we've got the same government telling me we're don't restrict it, we don't restrict it. Right, it's very, and I've read their document, their FAQs, and they're a little bit misleading. They make it look much easier than it's gonna be. And I'm not standing up here trying to be cynical, but I've dealt with the conservation authorities here for 24 years in Ontario, and it's never easy. It takes twice as long as they ever say it's going to. And that's with the current land that they're regulating. If they have no business plan, it'd be like me saying, we're gonna go from 20 houses to 100 houses, but we're not gonna add any staff, let's just figure it out. And it's kind of what they're doing here. It'll become a complete nightmare for lots of builders, homeowners. Just can't see how this will ever work well. At the current rate they're going.
And you have a question? Or no?
No.
No question? Okay, question?
No questions, but thanks for the advocacy.
Yeah, I have no question, but it's a good presentation and Steve pretty much covered everything, so. We don't want to say like,
Corey, did you, when you were doing, or when you were thought, and it was about whether or not you asked questions, for Totem Ranch Road property, when it was green and then it's changed to not green now. Was that a result of you actually making a direct conversation?
You need them tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, so you don't know how that parcel changed, but what South Nation leads you to believe is that somebody must have questioned it, so they took it out?
I guess, I don't know, I'll ask them that tomorrow.
Okay,
I
that's-
don't know what idea why.
Yeah, that was the only, because I know that they do, they do the constant updating. We're in that
Oh.
process with the Lear as well, and, you know, just, it's like layer upon layer
The la-
upon layer, right?
Excuse
So,
me, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
The lady at South Nation said they have 85 people coming as of starting tomorrow. Like yourself. Trying to get this.
And I know there's a lot of farmers are going to the meeting on
Thursday?
Thursday, because there's quite a bit of, and every farmer that I've talked to had no idea this was going on. Still, no one. And then so they, when they say they advertise in farm papers, I find that.
And no communication from the agencies that we are members of.
Everyone I suppose was shocked. And including the council of Northland, nobody had heard of this.
I had that conversation with Nancy today. Okay, so thank you for your presentation. Brent, come on up. You're next on the list. So same thing, 10 minutes. And then I'm sure we'll have a few questions for you as well,
Thank you.
potentially.
A brief introduction. So my name is Brent Doty, third generation farmer, in Edwardsburg. Been in business since 1925. My father, John Doty. So I've had the opportunity working on some of the staff here, and you guys had the first opportunity to meet me. Under advisement from Stephen Horton, he suggested that I should never run for council. Because you guys do not carry a large enough liability waiver on lawsuits. So I've stated the politics. So the reason I'm here is because we are a very proactive company. People tell us, I don't know if they're true or not, that we are the largest agricultural farm in Edwardsburg. And we generate a fair amount of money, but we also pay taxes, which is the largest agricultural taxes that we pay in the township. Now, part of our business is that we have to make substantial investments to stay in business. Rules and regulations we have to apply to. Something we have to do in the next probably 5 to 10 years is probably over $10 to $15 million of investments to comply to animal welfare regulations. We spend more time on animal care than actually producing eggs. Part of our mandate is we also have to have enough land for nutrient management to spread our manure. So we have to expand our land base to accommodate rules and regulations. So part of the new regulations is we developed a lot of land down Dobie Road, Calgary Swamp. Under this report, it still has it listed all under bush. We cleared over 500 acres of bushland. We cleared more land in Edwardsburg than any other company. We buy a chunk of land, we see where municipal drain is, which taxpayers have paid millions of dollars provincially to put in so we can farm. Tile drain, makes sense. If you don't tile drainage, you can't economically farm. So we buy some of the land, same thing. As taxpayers in this room realize there could be a battery storage facility coming on our land. Again, us being proactive. Again, if we would have delayed clearing, possibly that battery storage would not have even happened. So I've been in contact with my MP, Steve Clark, great man, my local MP, federal, Bob Flack, the agricultural minister, who I spoke to on Friday. Now, he's given us a totally different opinion than what Stephen has just said. So on April 1st, the provincial government has passed laws of significant wetlands to the South Nation. In that diagram, you will see dark green. Now, everything else outside that area has been a power grab by the conservation authorities to now reclassify land under woodlands, and as Corey explained, what they deem that they believe how the agricultural land should be treated from, and now from the other side of Westport to the Quebec border. That was never the provincial mandate to do that. That's the provincial side, the anonymous speaker. and they're looking into it on how and why this has happened. They're not happy that there's been no consultation to the private landowners. You know, we again purchased some property in North Grenville. We've now been informed with municipal ditches that shows it can be drained. Designated rural land. We're now being told we won't be able to develop it because it falls underneath their new rules and regulations. Again, after speaking to the provincial representation, they've empowered the municipalities through your planning departments to act independently. South Nation is there to inform, advise. If South Grenville, Edwardsburg Cardinal brings in a deforestation rules and regulations effective, say, 3 years from now. We apply by it by landowners as investors. We know we have a date, as Corey would do, you develop by a certain date. If you miss that date, that's a chance you take. Edwardsburg has a policy that says you're allowed to buy rural land, economically, make the investment and use it for agricultural purposes. North Grenville is the same way. That falls underneath their official plan, empowering you as elected officials to represent us as taxpayers. Not unelected people who work for conservation authorities. There's a big difference. Now, we have representatives on the councils of the conservation authorities. They work for us. They take advisement from you people, North Grenville and the other municipalities, the United Counties. So it's up to you to also rein in the overreach on the conservation authorities. Now, they do a great job, but sometimes they can be overly zealous. All we're here to do is say, if you want us as a business to employ people in Edwardsburg, pay a lot of taxes to Edwardsburg, then treat us the same. Now, on a positive note, if we reclassify some of our land and make it worthless, I'm assuming that you as a council going through impact when we lower the value of our land by $5,000 or $10,000 an acre, you're gonna be more than willing to give myself and my brother John refunds on my taxes. Now, my banker today told me that isn't gonna happen, Brent, because if you borrowed money to develop that land, we expect you to pay that back. But Conservation Authority has no investment, but they're gonna come in and they're gonna tell me, or tell the taxpayers how to use our land. Now, as I said to Stephen earlier, I would love to have been at the open house for the elevators, Johnstown Port. I've had over 100 phone calls of people saying for me to come. And I'm going, why? We have landowners and farmers that are intimidated to come to speak to you guys. Intimidated that repercussion from conservation authorities that if they speak up, they may not get the parcel land rezoned because of the power of the conservation authority. We have large agricultural groups that are afraid to send out emails to the constituents and their shareholders or customers because they're afraid of repercussions from the conservation authorities. I have private landowners that are telling me, and I'm actually trying to be calming them down, is no township employee or no conservation authority is gonna tell me what I can do with my land. I know a young lad who just spent $200,000 on a shovel because he's planning on clearing some of his own land so he can farm more, have more beef cows. Guess what? That money is now gone because they just designated all of his bushland he can't clear. Now, who's gonna tell the banker when he takes that shovel back to get it repoed, that the conservation authority just took all your rights and 2 farms, one in Edwardsburg and one in North Grenville, that you can't clear your own land to have more beef cows because some unelected official says that this is what you're supposed to do with your land. So I'm here for the support of the council. Seeing that the largest driver in our township is agriculture. That all we're asking for is some guidance, some common sense. Because we're playing by the rules on zoning, bylaws, as I deal with Wendy. But when it comes to the Conservation Authority, they can set their own rules at any time they want. So, thank you very much, and, if you have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer them. But I am not overly impressed when I had to speak to my bankers today and express to them the stupidity. I got 6 shovels working today. Cost me $6,000 a day. Cause I have to get this done. Last year I went through over 125,000 liters of diesel. And people tell me that the carbon tax doesn't affect me. I booked probably more propane in 1 year that my customer told me that would supply half a Cardinal. I can't get natural gas to my farm. Because guess what? It doesn't work, but I was told if I give them $2.5 million, they would bring natural gas to my farm. But any of the taxpayers in my area could jump on, but I have to pay for it to get to my place, but they won't reimburse me. So we're doing our part as a good corporate citizen in Edwardsburg Cardinal, so we're hoping that you guys reach out to South Nation and saying that the consultation has to be extended, and I did the same thing at North Grenville, trying to get a hold of the counselors. Finally, after numbers of calls, I finally got a hold of them. They don't even know anything about it. Nothing. They have no idea. When I called my tile drainage guy who's down in the Finch area and told him, I want you up here to do work, he didn't even know about it, and he's in the tile drainage area. One of his largest customers is a counselor. He's doing land clearing on his own property. He did not even know about it, that the land he's clearing is technically designated as wetlands and floodplain. He does not know that they're gonna allow him to use that land.
Can we go to questions?
Absolutely.
Good. All right, Chris?
Can you come back to me?
Sure. Steve? Are you good?
No, you hit it on the nose. You do have our support, I'll tell you that right at the table.
I'll just remind you on, we do have a discussion and we will have a
Yes.
motion coming through on
And
item 10, so I just
yeah.
wanna.
I
keep
am,
it-
I'm
keep
just
it
gonna
moving.
speed things up here.
Yeah, okay.
And I just wish you tell your farmers, they don't have to be intimidated.
Yeah,
to come
there's
to
no
this
reason.
room.
Well,
No,
I'm sorry, I don't know where they got
I
that.
have one young lad here.
Yeah,
But
and I
guess
called
what?
him
But
back yesterday.
Yes, and I've calmed him down.
Yeah.
But I know other major farm groups that are afraid to speak because they do not want repercussion from South Nation.
Well, I understand where
Maybe-
that may come from, but we,
Yeah, not
to the
for
best of my knowledge,
Yeah.
we've never made decisions that don't support our agriculture community, so it really hurts when you say that.
This
Like
is
it,
why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really hurts me.
it does, it hurts us for sure.
We're open. So thanks very much, Brent, and we're 100%.
I don't think there's any questions that you left unanswered. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty
I feel
clear.
the same, but, I agree with what Steve said, we're open, but nobody should be afraid to come and speak to you with something over here.
Thank you very much for your support, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move on so we can get to some meat. Consent agenda, can we get through these quick? Is anybody pulling anything out? So then, items discussed under consent agenda are considered routine and no longer require further discussion, and they are enacted in one motion. The exception to this rule is that a member may request one or more items be pulled for discussion and voted on separately, so we're good? Okay, so Martel, can you bring it forward?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Chris Ward, that municipal council receives and approves the following consent agenda items as presented. Regular council, May 27th, 2024. Public Library Board, April 23rd, 2024. Port Management Committee, May 21st, 2024. Committee of the Whole, Community Development, June 3rd, 2024. Public meeting zoning bylaw 3202 Duclos Road, June 10th, 2024. Committee of the Whole, Administration and Operations, June 10th, 2024. Holly Drive on open road allowance, recreational vehicle temporary use. 2103 Dundas Street vacant lot follow-up. United Counties, the lead in Grenville automated speed enforcement update and the temporary road closure Optimus Soapbox Burger.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's consent, so there's no discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? Just looking to the clerk for guidance to make sure that I'm correct on this. Do we go to discussion about the minutes or do we go directly to?
Through the chair, since it was on consent agenda, nothing was pulled, it goes directly to 10F for investments, for GMC.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, I think you have 10F. Can you bring that forward?
I do, Mr. Mayor, thank you. By myself, second by Mr. Ward, authorizing Director Port General Manager to transfer to find the best possible investment rate for 12 months non-redeemable GIC on or about July 2nd, 2024. And B, a 24-month non-redeemable GIC on about July 2nd, 2024. And number two, direct the Port General Manager to take 50% of the full maturity amount of Scotiabank 12 months GIC maturing July 2nd, 2024. And purchase a new 12-month non-redeemable GIC from identified banks with the best possible rate. And B, take 50% of the full maturity amount of Scotiabank 12 months GIC maturity on July 2nd, 2024. To purchase a new 24 non-redeemable GIC from identified bank, the best possible rate. As recommended by the Port Management Committee.
Good, certainly thoroughly discussed at Port Management Committee. Does anyone at the table have further comments or questions before I call the question?
No, I mean, it does a comment, I guess, just I like the strategy that they're now doing where we, every 6 months, I mean, that was the way we've done that, I guess it's pretty good, that every 6 months we have something coming new and, yeah.
Divide this in half, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Spread it out. So, yeah, it's a good investment strategy for sure. Anyone else? All right, hearing none, then I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so then we move on to township financial statement, and before we'll have Councillor Smith bring that forward and.
Thank you, your worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Joe Martell. Whereas council met with the external auditors MNP LLP for the township of Everett Cardinal and the Port of Johnstown in May 24. And whereas MNP and LLP provided a review of the management representation responsibility letter, the independent auditors report, the audit findings report, and the 2023 draft consolidated financial statements for the township of Everett Cardinal and the Port of Johnstown. Now therefore be it resolved that the municipal council receives the audit findings report and approves the 2023 consolidated financial statements for the township of Everett Cardinal as approved by the MNP LLP.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. To the clerk, I'm lost. So, and I know what this is. I just can't find it in my package. So I'm looking for a page reference number in the package. I'm on page 584 and scrolling, but I'm
Page 51 of 625.
there we go. I've gone far too far. Thank you, sir. All right, so here on page 51. And is there anyone going to speak? Is somebody speaking to this?
Through the chair,
Yes.
I'll speak to this. The reason why there was a lag, normally we would do this right after it was presented to committee. But the Rideau St. Lawrence statements weren't finished yet, so our consolidated statements weren't done. But now that Rideau St. Lawrence has passed their financial statements, now you have a complete consolidation. So
Good. And just quickly, is there anything in there that you want to highlight for us before we move on? And
no, everything is the same except for it has the actual net income for Rideau St. Lawrence, which is
okay,
a little bit higher than it was last year. So
Right.
they update here as well.
yeah, good. So we've already seen it all then.
Yeah.
Separate, so, okay, so then I will look around and see, look for hands or comments.
Oh, none here.
None on that side, none on this side, okay, then I'll call the question, all in favor? Good. And so then we are on to, we are at the meat now, aren't we? Councilor Martel, do you want to bring item 10H forward?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Chris Ward, that municipal council provide direction to staff to draft a letter to the South Nation Conservation Authority requesting additional public consultation on the wetland mapping and authorize the mayor to sign and execute the letter.
Alright, so definitely for discussion. Let's open the discussion. This is certainly, we can certainly amend this, right? I mean, it's been moved and seconded, but we can amend this and be far more specific as to what we want to ask South Nation CA for in that. So, and one thing in my mind is, one is we have not, and we are not going to have a meeting in Edwardsburg Cardinal. That concerns me. Two is that every individual landowner should get notified individually in writing that their land designation could be changing. And two, that the consultation is rushed and that it'll, if we hadn't have noticed it in a newspaper, we wouldn't even know about it either. I guess it was in, it was in our council correspondence, but nobody saw it. So, so those three things I think are of major concern to me, and I'd like to see them in whatever we move forward, very specifically. So, I'm just gonna look around to speakers. So who wants to go? I know everybody's gonna speak on this, so.
So
wanna go?
I can go. I have a few points there. I mean, I think, you know, it comes down to where, you know, I almost feel like we're not asking enough. I'd like to see if they could, you know, actually halt the process. I mean, we need them to come before us and have this conversation. To be honest, and I believe that probably a meeting that we'll have to rent some space for, because I don't think we'd be able to have everybody in here. But I do think we have to have them come to us and explain the process and how residents can contest their findings and, you know, make sure we understand try to understand the motivation behind it and what the ask was per se. And because I really think, I mean, you know, I think we've heard two pretty decent delegations today that really highlight this problem. You know, I mean, the reality is we're already facing the Lear review, which I know is agriculture, which is, you know, a benefit from that perspective, certain things. But that plus the new aggregate study that is potentially could add more lands to that. Now protecting these lands here, we have nothing left to work with. You know, there will be, you know, if you haven't built already, then there's no point in going forward. So I'm really concerned about this, and you know, I think we need to figure out how to understand exactly what the scope is and how we can make sure that if they have to do this, that they do this, you know, properly with a lot of attention. So you know, I'm afraid. And you know, I heard also about the people being afraid of repercussions for going forward. Well, you know, that's where we got to find out. We have to find out how we can get this information, because I get where the fear is coming from, and you know, I have no problem standing in front of somebody at the SNC and saying it. So you know, hey, you know, I mean, I guess I welcome any more information, you know, from anybody who has concerns, and we'll do our best to make sure we get it to them without, you know, without getting somebody to be fear repercussions from the SNC as well. I would hope
So your preference then is that as a municipality, we ask them to stop the process until they come to us for a discussion. End of story.
End of story.
Okay, I can support that. To the clerk, I just want to ask a quick question. We don't have a representative on SNC though this year, do we? We don't have any power there this year. This is our years we don't have anyone. So is it Augusta and North Grenville that have the two representatives? And who are the two representatives? Do we know
I
offhand?
don't know.
Can we get that information?
Debbie Green.
Debbie Wilson is.
Debbie Wilson.
Deb Wilson?
Debbie Green.
And do we know who it is for Augusta?
I think it's Mr. Wyman, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Isn't it?
It's Adrian? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, all right, so we have that then, good. So Adrian and Deb. Okay, so we know we want to do something, what do you think?
I like to take it even one step further. You know, we're everyone's on the South Nation. this and that and how their authority. I like to get it from the horse's mouth with their MPP
Yeah, me too.
and see exactly what the heck's going on here, because something's not adding up.
So halt the process and contact this falls under MNRF, if I'm not mistaken, right?
You can try to leave
So
some-
Graydon Smith. Probably, right? Okay, so,
Or
And-
or a local MPP. Sure, the God, he can get us some
well,
real
I
information.
had the conversation with him today and he still hasn't been briefed by MNRF yet. So
Okay.
he will not have the information that you're looking for.
See, I don't
As
understand
a-
it. That's what really bugs me.
Right, so let's
April
go to,
1, Ontario government gave it to South Nation.
yeah, so let's talk to him, but let's talk to the ministry. That he,
That's fine.
Yeah.
Just, let's
we'll
go
say,
see the dog.
let's go to the ministry.
Yeah.
Okay, so halt the process, make sure we contact the government to get answers from them.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there, Thursday.
I think we
too,
can
so-
support that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna agree with both these guys,
Okay.
mostly with the deputy mayor. Let's halt the process, you know, if South Nation doesn't wanna hold a meeting with the shareholders, let's call it ourselves.
Fair, I agree.
I agree with what everybody said then, but I just don't understand. We paid South Nation. So we're their boss. And like Mr. Dovey or one of them said, they're volunteers. And we're elected officials, so we should get right down to finding out what's going on with the MP and everybody else. And Adrian Winans, is he not a agricultural man, like a farmer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
President of the Granville Federation of Agriculture.
Cause I know Adrian pretty good, I went to school with him and stuff, but like he should be on our side, the farmer's side and everything. Just baffles me if he's not.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think I know where this is gonna go. I'm gonna need some help from the clerk to put some words together. However, we do have our CDC here, and I just wanna make sure that Wendy doesn't wanna have any input into this or wanna give us more information that we might not already have.
No, nothing more that.
All right, so then I'm gonna look to the clerk as to make sure that we make the right choice here. So we're gonna ask. So we've moved this forward. Do we need to fail this and then write a new one?
Through the chair, you can amend it depending on what you're looking to do.
Yeah, I think the
May
only
just
words that are gonna be left are
easier
that municipal council.
to- Yeah. It may just be easier, you can pull that off the table, you can.
Yeah. Remove it.
you
So
can
just remove your moving, and who's the seconder?
Bruce Wood.
So remove your second. You're gonna remove your second, okay, and you're gonna remove it, so it's been removed. So then we need to bring a motion forward, so we need one of the members of council to bring a motion forward that's going to request that. I may need some help, clerk, you were in the conversation, so request that South Nation one, stop the process. Two, hold a public meeting with Edwardsburg Cardinal and its constituents, its landowners. That as part of that process, each and every landowner affected be notified. And until that is completed, that no further changes to landowner rights or mapping happen. Is that? I mean, and further, we're going to send that to the Minister of MNRF. I mean, I think we need to send it to almost every government agency because Ministry of Labor applies to this. Ministry of Agriculture applies to this. They're like, what ministry doesn't apply to it, right?
Housing, even.
I mean, housing, right, we've, I don't even know, send it to them all.
Through the chair, when it's something all encompassing like this, I won't go through every minister's name right
Yeah.
now. But we can incorporate that into the final draft.
Yeah.
We'll have to write it up.
Yeah.
And take a break, or we can write it up, have you guys just signed the draft, and then I can get it out to you tomorrow.
Can we take a 5-minute break then and write it up now? Will 5 minutes give you enough time?
I'll put the plan in.
Good, let's take a 10-minute break and write it up and get it, or do you want to do the rest of the meeting, write it up while we have our break before we go into closed?
So that way we can progress, it may be easier that way, and then we can just.
Just
return back on it.
with respect to the folks that are here, I don't think they're here for anything else. You know, maybe we should just close that off if, you know, in respect to their time, and unless they have questions for us in question period, then they're free to go on. I just respect their time and, you know, so maybe we can take the 10-minute break now. So,
Sure, we'll-
so I need a mover for a 10-minute break. Seconder, call the question for a break. So 10-minute recess.
Yeah.
So one little bang. All right, back in session. Thank you to the clerk and the deputy clerk and the CAO for bringing this together quickly. So I'm just gonna read the motion that we have. I'll look for a seconder, a mover and a seconder, and then if there are any changes or errors or whatever alterations that need to be done to it, we'll adapt it if needed. So I'm gonna read that. Municipal Council requests that the South Nation Conservation Authority, 1, halt the consultation process, and 2, host a public information and consultation meeting in the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, and 3, provide written notification to every landowner in the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, and 4, do not make any changes until additional consultation and public meetings are held. And further that this resolution be forwarded to all relevant provincial ministries, MPP Clark, MP Michael Barrett, all municipalities within the South Nation Conservation Authority, AMO, Roma, OFA, Ontario Builders Association, and any other relevant agency.
So move.
Sign the copy you have, please. Okay, further discussion.
Do we want every landowner or every landowner affected?
Every landowner. You can have every landowner affected, but
No, just, I'm fine with every landowner, just want to.
pretty much, that's pretty much the same thing right now. Further discussion?
None here.
Anyone else?
I think it's a strong message.
All right, so recorded vote requested by myself. Just because it is. All right, so Councillor Martel,
Yeah.
Councillor Smale,
Yay.
Councillor Ward,
Yay.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah.
Myself as a yay, obviously. Carried unanimously. And I want to say thank you to the Dobies. Thank you as well for coming tonight, Clint for the OFA. Corey, I appreciate you coming forward and bringing this to us as well. So. You know how it works. I'll go ahead. It's already moved and passed, so.
Respectfully to the chair,
Quick,
just ask if our MP Michael Barrett would be copied on that.
He is, yeah, he is,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah, sorry, I read fast, but
I
he
did
is,
not hear that one.
yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
he's in there as well.
Conclusion.
Yep. Okay, good. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We strive to do the right thing, so.
Thank you both.
Awesome, have a good night.
Not for coming.
All right, so moving on to 10I, which is the RBC signatory update authorization. Councillor Ward, I think you have that.
I do, and bear with me, it is 3 pages, so.
I'll get
here we
it.
go. I'm gonna drink. Sanction that, okay, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Joe Martel. Whereas from time to time, the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal updates the signing authorities for township issued checks and credit cards And whereas it has been identified that a number of signing authorities need to be updated due to change of position or name, and whereas the Royal Bank of Canada required the township to support a prepared resolution, now therefore it be resolved that the municipal council of the corporation of the township of Edwardsburg, Cardinal, one, the Royal Bank of Canada, known from now on as Royal Bank, is appointed banker for the customer. Two, that for the instruments ACCT, or account, we'll say, 1001189, two signatures, one of the mayor, deputy mayor, with one report general manager, treasurer, CAO, clerk, or director of operations, CAO, or deputy CAO, account 1002450, two signatures, CEO, treasurer of the library with one of the branch supervisors of the library, chair of the library board or vice chair of the library board. All other accounts, two signatures, one of the mayor, deputy mayor with one of the treasurers, CAO, clerk or director of operations, deputy CAO. Agreements / credit cards, two signatures, one of the mayor, deputy mayor with one of the treasurer, CAO, clerk or director of operations, deputy CAO, are authorized on behalf of the customer from time to time, A, to withdraw or order transfer of funds from the customer's accounts by any means, including the making, drawing, accepting, endorsing, or signing of checks, promissory notes, bills of exchange, or others, or orders for the payment of money or other instruments, or the giving of other instructions. Instructions, period, I guess. B, to sign any agreement or other documents or instruments or in favor of Royal Bank, including agreements and contracts relating to products or services provided by Royal Bank to the customer, and C, to order or authorize any person or persons to do any one or more of the following. I, to receive from Royal Bank, any cash and or any securities, instruments, or other property of the customer held by Royal Bank, whether for safekeeping or as security, or to give instructions to Royal Bank for the delivery or the transfer or other transfer of any such cash, securities, instruments, or other property to any person named in those instructions. Or two, we'll say, to deposit with or negotiate or transfer to Royal Bank for the credit of the customer, cash or any security, instrument, or other property, and for those purposes to endorse by rubber stamp or otherwise the name of the customer or any other name under which the township carried on business on any security or instrument. 3, to instruct Royal Bank by any means to debit the accounts of third parties for deposit to the credit of the customer, and 4, to receive statements, instruments, and other items, including paid checks and documents relating to the customer's accounts with or any services of the Royal Bank, and to settle and certify the customer's accounts with the Royal Bank. 3, that all instruments, instructions, agreements, including contracts relating to products or services provided by Royal Bank, and any documents made, drawn, accepted, endorsed, or signed under the corporate seal or otherwise, as provided in this resolution and delivered to the Royal Bank by any persons, shall be valid and binding on the customer and Royal Bank, and is hereby authorized on them and give effect to them. That the Royal Bank be furnished with a copy of this resolution, and B, a list of names of the persons authorized by this resolution to act on behalf of the customer, and 3, with written notice, I jumped ahead, I'm sorry, of any changes which may take place in such list from time to time, and with specimens of the signatures of all such persons, each certified by 1, the mayor, 2, the treasurer of the customer, and C, in writing, any authorization made under paragraph 2C of this resolution. And 5, that any document furnished to the Royal Bank as provided for in paragraph 4 of this resolution shall be binding upon the customer until a new document repeating and convincing previous one has been received and duly acknowledged in writing by the branch or agency of the Royal Bank where the customer has its accounts. I did mention it was moved by myself and seconded.
I'm sorry, I
by-
didn't understand that.
Can you go back to two and?
Yeah. Right. I feel like, yeah, we're not trying to hold up the process here, right?
Wow. So I'm assuming that this was an insistence on someone that it had to be that way, yes?
Through the chair, RBC was not subject to the word or short ticket.
Right, fair enough, fair points, I understand, it's an important document, so. All right, questions, comments, anyone?
Oh, yeah, all kinds.
Down here.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Everybody understands? All right, then I'm gonna call the question, all in favor? All right, so I'll wake back up again and come to reserve. J, reserve transfer for purchase of vacant land, deputy mayor, you have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Council Ward that Municipal Council direct the treasurer to transfer $1,885,500 from the consideration reserve account and general operation account to purchase vacant land, and to direct treasurer to withdraw the full amount of mature RBC EIC funds and transfer them to the consolidated reserve account on January 17th, 2025.
Sure. Everyone understands what the 1.8855 is for, the purchase of vacant land. Other questions, comments in regard to this item? Okay, then hearing none, then I will call the question, all in favor? Move on to item K, which is community risk assessment. Councilor Smith.
Thank you, your worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Joe Martell, that the municipal council received the 2024 community risk assessment.
So, all right, questions, comments on the 2024 risk assessment? Does somebody in staff want to speak to it before we go further? Looking.
Mayor, I can,
You want to give us Paul's notes?
absolutely. I'm just going to highlight a few paragraphs and we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the document if that. So the document was completed.
Hold on.
Can you give us a page number? 600
Starts
pages
on
on our-
page 97.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, I think you can go ahead, chief.
So the document was completed in accordance with the OFM regulation 37818. It requires a new community risk assessment every 5 years. It also requires fire departments to review their community risk assessment annually to ensure it accurately reflects the mandatory profiles of fire and emergency risks. At the completion of a community risk assessment will allow a municipality and its fire service to make some decisions on the level of fire protection it will provide its residents. The FPPA, the Fire Protection and Prevention Act, mandates that every municipality shall establish a program which must include public education with respect to fire safety and certain components of fire prevention, and provide such other fire protection services as it deems may be necessary. In the fire service, these elements are commonly referred to as the 3 lines of defense. So we've got public fire safety education, fire safety standards and enforcement, so enforcing the fire code. And then finally, the third pillar is the emergency response. On to the next page, it's the identification of such fire and life safety risks and their prioritization based on the probability and the impacts of such events that provide a basis on the plan. So basically, what are the risks? What's the chances of it happening? How bad is it going to be if it does happen? There are 9 mandatory profiles and this can be completed for your CRA, including geographic, building stock, critical infrastructure, demographic hazard profile, public safety response, community services, economic profile,
past loss. Into assigning risks, table 1, risk likelihood levels, they go from rare to almost certain. Consequence levels, everything from insignificant to catastrophic. And finally, table 3 is the table that puts everything together in a risk level matrix. So you take your probability on the left, your consequences across the top, and determine which level of risk each item holds. Once you've identified those risks, there are several risk treatment options. You can avoid the risk, so you can implement programs and initiatives to prevent a fire or emergency from happening. You can mitigate the risk, so you can implement programs and initiatives to reduce the probability and or consequence. You can accept it, so that means that after you've identified it, you've determined that no specific programs or initiatives will be implemented to address the risk. That the fire department accepts that the potential risk might happen and will respond if it does. And then finally, transfer the risk. It means you can transfer the risk or impact to another organization or body. An example of that is a community may enter into an agreement with a neighboring municipality for specialized rescue training such as Honeywell Rescue. So there's a flow chart that takes you through the process. So identify the risks, prioritize them, assign risk levels, determine the risk treatment options, determine the fire protection level of service, and then annual review. So finally, down to the summary of risks. This is the meat and potatoes of the top risks or concerns that were identified in the community risk assessment. So they list from geographic profile, items in your building stock, public safety response, economic profile, and past loss and event history. They have suggested treatment options as well that will have to be further identified and more information gathering. The balance of the document is all of the mandatory profiles, so it's all the worksheets and data used to put this together. And I will remind council that our level of service is set in our establishing a regulating bylaw by council. So you can probably expect some recommendations coming forward from this document in the future.
There's a lot in there, eh?
There is.
Yeah. All right, thank you, chief. No, there is, it's a what, 40-some page, I think, document by the time you get through and read everything, right? Am I mistaken in thinking that? It's 40-something, right? Yeah, thank you for the outline. Chris, do you want to start? Do you have questions or comments or?
Sure, we, to the mayor's point, there's a lot of stuff in this document. Is there any things highlighted that have changed since the last assessment? Do we?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I did not review previous assessment. I'm not aware of what was completed.
Okay, sounds good. Then, I mean, I guess we see this one glaring high risk, because everything seems to be moderate risk right now, which is, it doesn't mean we still want to make sure we can be preventative as best possible, but I did see this high risk in regards to industrial. Is that something that, and maybe I just didn't see it because it was a very big package we had this week, but is there mitigations that we plan on, or what's coming forth? If that's coming forth later, I believe. But I just saw that was a high risk, and that we should make sure we're
Through the chair, and a common theme, especially in our building stock profile, was pre-planned and annual fire inspections. You will see that listed under many of these items for pre-planning and fire inspections. That will be coming forward.
okay. Gotcha. And I mean, and I know businesses. I mean, I've been in businesses, in big businesses, but all my career, and I know they have their own plans as well, and they try and tie with the fire department. So okay, so we'll see what that looks like when it comes back to us then. And then the only one that just triggered to me is ice water rescue, which sounds like I don't know how often it happens. What's the frequency that we have had those needed ice water rescues?
In the chair, I would say they are low frequency. But what we tend to get is is we get, since we don't perform the service, a lot of times we get a request. So I'll get a phone call from dispatch saying, hey, UPP has this problem. Do you have access to a boat, or do you have access to water rescue? I haven't gathered a lot of data on that yet, but it might be tricky to gather it because a lot of it's kind of unofficial because we don't get dispatched because we don't do it. So that makes sense.
Yep, no, that does for sure. Okay, no, that's, those are some of the questions that I've had to look into, so.
Debbie?
Following up on that question, what happens if I fall through the ice fishing? Who do they call? You saying that we don't call? Who comes there?
And through the chair, we have an automatic aid agreement with Prescott. So they do water and ice rescue.
So it's a mutual aid call.
Well, it's contracts and we're gonna pay them.
Yeah.
But they don't have the facilities or the equipment to get out into the channel. They can go out in ice quite a ways, but open water, they don't have a boat, a vessel.
Okay. So who's the closest one? Morrisburg? OPP?
Through the chair, I believe it's the Gananock.
Wow. Okay. Something very important. Okay, thank you, that's it.
To the chief, just for my own, this is the 2024 CRA. I don't remember in my time ever seeing a CRA before. Am I wrong in thinking that? You know, there? Yeah, okay. All right, I just,
Through the chair, there hasn't been one in since my.
you're here for me, so.
Okay.
I was reading it through the chair to Chief Muller. You've got a contract with Prescott, you said, for the water rescue. I read where something about the aerial ladder. How high does the aerial ladder go? Like, we only have one building in Cardinal with 6 floors. So if we needed them, they would come, right?
Certainly through the chair, Prescott also worked in agreement with them to provide the aerial. Unfortunately, the problem comes in with the industrial establishments. Their aerial is 70 feet, so that's 70 feet ideally purchased straight up and down. So they would not really have sufficient access to most of our industrial.
I'm good, yeah.
And so we'll see or as we see recommendations come forward, they'll be based out of this document. So we'll go back to this and we'll be seeing it again over the next while. Yeah, good. Okay. All right. So the vote is that municipal council received the 2024 community risk assessment. It's been moved. It's been seconded. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, then I'll call the question. All in favor? Received. Thanks for the work, chief. All right, municipal correspondence, item 11, Councilor Martel.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Chris Ward, that municipal council receives the correspondence listings for the following dates as previously circulated. May the 10th, 2024, June the 5th, 2024, June 13th, 2024, and June 19th, 2024.
Anyone questions or need anything information about correspondence? Nope. Chris, you look like you're nodding yes, not no.
Nope, that's right.
Okay, sorry. Then I'll call the question. All in favor? Correspondence received. Municipal disbursements, Councilor Ward.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Joe Martel, that municipal council receives the payment of municipal invoices circulated and dated as followed. Report dated May 29th, 2024-086 for $188,502.16. Report dated May 30th, 2024-087 for $129,449.58. Report dated June 17th, 2024-094 for $228,086.56. Report dated June 20th for 2024-099 for $172,955.78. And report dated June 2024-100 for $145,072.61 for a grand total of $864,066.69.
All right. Do you have comments or questions regarding disbursements? Deputy?
I have a couple, but I'm gonna follow up with the treasurer tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Ward?
Nope.
No? Okay, then I will call the question on the disbursements. All in favor? And we are moving on to the bylaw portion then of the meeting, and it is number 1, which is the site plan control agreement for Newport Drive with Elantra Leasing. Councillor Martel. first.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Chris Ward, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with Elantra Leasing Incorporated, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Okay, I will look to the table to see if there is discussion on first and second reading before we go to third. Seeing none, then I will call the question. All in favor? Unanimous, you can proceed to third reading.
Thank you, your worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Chris Ward, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with Elantra Leasing Incorporated be now read a third and final time, and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2024-32.
So, thank you very much. Okay, other questions at all before I call the question? Third reading. Comments even.
It's really good to get this going forward, and the work is already progressing, which is great, because we were able to do that ahead of time for them, so we can get this official, and I was surprised that quickly they came back to us with the official site plan agreement, so.
Yeah.
Good job, and we're seeing good stuff from this partner.
Kudos to them and staff for making sure that they come together to get that plan put together well. So, Stephen, anything?
No, all done.
No, sir.
Well done.
My only one was fire, and we are comfortable with the fire plans in there. We're good. You did an on-site with them. Is that the?
Through chair, that is correct. We worked with them.
Okay, and the water supply is at the roadway, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Like there's a hydrant at the water, and that, and with a separate entrance that protects it? Okay, so third reading. No further questions. I'll call the question. All in favor? Good, and I just want to, for the record, commend staff for bringing forward that we allow Elantra to go ahead in they knew that this would be coming to us quickly, but it allowed Elantra to get moving along with the site and continue towards that ultimate goal of having their building up as quick as possible. So this is nice to have this, shows good collaboration between Elantra and their staff. So please make sure that staff's aware of that too. Thank you. The next one, which is the site plan control agreement for 2-8 Queen Street, Johnstown Storage Incorporated. Councillor Wood.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Joe Martel, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with Johnstown Self Storage Inc. And this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Right, first and second reading of the Johnstown Self Storage site plan control agreement. Questions, comments on that agreement before we move to third? Hearing none, then I'll call the question. All in favor? Unanimous, you can proceed to third. Unanimous. Proceed to third.
I'm all out of reading, really. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Joe Martel, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with Johnstown Self Storage Inc. be now read a third and final time, and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2024-33.
Good. Nice to see the expansion at the self-storage facility. It seems like it's gonna be pretty good, and they're doing a good job there. So, comments? Anybody? No questions? Chris, you good?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I mean, I was a little concerned until I read deeper about the whole scope of what big scope of this, pardon me, is making sure that the easement is there so that the other property can be accessed from the back, so or
Yep.
from the side, so. It's my concern, but I researched and found it, so that was good.
Good. All right, then I'll call the question then. All in favor? Good, you guys are doing good. 13C, which is amend zoning bylaw 2022-37 for 3202 Duplo Road. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and second by Chris Ward that the mover be granted leave to introduce bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2022-37, 3202 Duplo Road, Hutton, and shall constitute the first, second reading thereof.
First and second reading, comments, questions before we proceed to third. Hearing and seeing none, then I'll call the question, all in favor? It is unanimous, so we can move to third.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Mr. Martell that the bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2022-37, 3202 Duplo Road, Hutton be now read a third and final finally passed, signed, sealed, number 2024-34.
Right, before I ask the question or call the question on third reading, does anyone wish to comment? You? No, you're good.
Just grab
Yeah,
the.
no, would be neat to see if the expectation is that we'll have 3 more of those along that same property area, if you will, and, you know, I guess from a concern perspective, this is another reason why I'm glad we're reaching back to SNC on the, wetlands, because I think these lands would all be invalidated in that study, I would think, so. Let's move along.
Okay. Good. All right, I'm happy to see this move along as well. So I'll call the question, all in favor? Done. And for 13B, which is our municipal funding agreement for the CCBF, Councilor Smith.
Thank you, your worship. Move by myself, seconded by Councillor Joe Martell, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a municipal funding agreement with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and on the Canada Community Building Fund, and this shall constitute first and second reading. Favorably.
Just gonna alert to the clerk again. I lost my page again. I'm trying to scroll as fast as I can. I'm on page 361 at this point, so
589.
580. And I was on 361 and I'm like, I know I'm nowhere near it, so.
She did, yes.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Slowly caught up. Be nice when it gets into the e-scribe where you can just click it and it actually takes you directly to it instead of the PDF, right?
Through the sheet, but it'll be
Okay.
something implemented even further where you're just following along with me.
Nice, that'll be even better.
Was that next Thursday or next Friday?
Kindergarten. All right, so first and sorry, I'm still lost here a little bit. First and second reading on the CCBF. So comments, questions before I call first and second.
So,
Yes, Chris.
this is a part of a generic. We don't have an ask just yet, right? We're doing and missing it, and then maybe I just didn't catch it, but.
Through the chair, this to Councillor Ward, this is just the funding agreement, so we can collect our CCB.
Yeah, so, okay.
And just so that I'm correct on this, CCBF is what we used to refer to as the gas tax. Right. Okay. Got it?
Yep.
Yep. I figured you would. They just changed the name. So much easier as gas tax. Next time we'll have them put an AKA beside it.
Really appreciate that.
All right, so first and second reading, further questions at all? Hearing and seeing none, then I'll call the question, all in favor? Proceed with third.
Thank you, your mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Joe Martell, that a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a municipal funding agreement with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario on the Canada Community Building Fund be now read a third and final time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2024-35.
Bring on the gas tax. All right, third and final, Comments, questions?
I can't imagine anybody ever not wanting to accept this. I don't even know how we vote on it, but nope, we're good.
Do we, and I'm gonna put staff on the spot, and I know they're not gonna have the answer, but do we know what the gas tax dollar value is yet? Has it been released to us? Or not?
It's a little bit over $280,000.
And do we know how that compares back to last year? Or- I'm sorry, I don't mean to, I apologize. Sometimes
It's
they do
very
the topping
similar.
up, sometimes they do the doubling, it's, yeah. Who knows? Okay, all right, it's not imperative, I'm just curious. All right, discussion further, seeing and hearing none, then I'll call the question, all in favor. 13E, which is the hiring policy update, Councilor Martel, can you bring that forward?
Moved by myself, seconded by Chris, the birthday boy award. That the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to adopt a hiring policy, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Well, lady, Councilor Martel. Do you want to speak to this? Yeah, let's speak to it now in case somebody wants to pause it. So, I'm just gonna have CAO speak to, any changes, whatever's different in this versus the, yeah.
Through the chair, the only change that was made in the Schedule A was to where the port GM and the CAO were hired by council as part of direction of a closed session last time, was asked to remove that so that the CAO could lead the hiring committee of hiring the new port GM.
So everybody understands that, and that is, sorry, you were done, right?
Yeah, and that's the only
Apologies, I didn't
changes that
catch
were made. Other than that, everything else remains in force.
Right, it's everything else is the same,
Yeah.
just that's the only little change in which is direction that we gave to have that change, so it's just following through on something that we asked to have done. First and second reading, questions, comments?
So I wish I'd known that before. Because there was no sort of, with track changes on kind of, so I took a look at the entire thing. And when I see employee, in the definitions on page 615 of 625, employee refers to an individual who serves the day-to-day function of the township or Port of Johnstown in a non-managerial capacity. When I read this, and maybe it's fine, I don't know, it's just, this could include subcontractors, which may or may not be one you want to include them, and it also may include council, to be honest, so I don't know if that was part of the intent, but, that's kind of how I read that, to be honest, and I wasn't sure if that was something that you had wanted, to elaborate on, but I mean, I know it wasn't one of the changes we've made, though.
It's certainly been that way.
Yeah, through the chair, that's something that I could discuss with our employment legal counsel on this. However, I would think the risk on having counsel be referred to as an employee is low because you're paid an honorarium, not a salary. I think it's the money that drives the relationship in that regard.
Okay, so that's what I just sort of, I pointed that out because I just read that, but otherwise.
And further to that, any subcontractor would have a contract.
Okay.
Sounds like,
Yeah, we're not day to day on every day, so.
Some days.
first and second, any further? Joe? anything?
I'm good.
No, all right, call the question, all in favor? Good. So I need to proceed third.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Chris Ford, that a bylaw to adopt a hiring policy be now read a third and final time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2024-36.
Okay, third and final reading, questions, comments before we call the question? All in favor? What I believe that does is it now gives the CAO the ability to form the committee and do the hiring of the port general manager.
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay, and we are now on to 14, which I will ask Councilor Ward to bring it forward and then we can have the update.
Okay, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Joe Martel, The municipal council receives the CAO's administrative report as presented.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just before I get into the CAO's report, was provided some information, very important information by the clerk, that our 22-23 funding for CCBF was 224,000 and 23-24 is 234,000. So a little bit more, but less than the 280 that I had mentioned.
So what, sorry, can you just say those two numbers again?
22-23 funding was $224,955. And the 23-24 funding was $234,736.
Nice, a little increase. Good. Let's hope they double it.
So I'll go into my my report here. So Follow 44, there was a launch scheduled this coming week by invitation only. I would like to thank the efforts of all partners involved in this tourism project. This afternoon, we actually had a kickoff meeting with Potential Renewables on a pre-consultation meeting, and everybody was in attendance. Ministry was in attendance, SNC was in attendance. So I think we've got a good idea of what everybody needs to do at this stage of this project, and everybody got to put faces to names, and we'll start to bring this project forward. Bylaw, PLEO is actively identifying and discussing clean yard compliance now that we're through no mow May and into mow your lawn June. Now we can look at going past the education phase and moving towards enforcement. And as it goes, when there is maintenance that needs to be done by a contractor, those costs are paid by the resident, and if not paid, they're added to their taxes. In Treasury, just an update on our ADP project. So council's remuneration for June was processed through ADP successfully. Testing is underway for the full-time and part-time employees, and we're on track to have the first pay of July paid through ADP. And training for managers will be set up for the use of the new timesheets and electronic time off approvals.
Just before you go further, refresh my memory as to what ADP stands for.
I have no idea.
Okay, fair enough. I'm sure clerk will update us as we go.
They do payroll, so. So moving on to Parks and Facilities and Recreation. For staff training, full-time staff completed their propane recertification in May. For summer staff, all 40 summer students are working in our pools and camps. Also be taking online courses for custom excellence service, as well as their WMIS training through our HR download list.
Thanks.
Johnstown Pool opened on June 5th with a clean inspection from the health unit, and swimming lessons started on June 10th. And for the Cardinal Pool, official pool opening was on June 22nd with a free barbecue and a free swim. And we had a special appearance from Buddy the lifeguard. Pickleball in Spencerville at the arena on Tuesdays and Thursday nights averages about 10 to 15 players per night. For program sponsorship, again, Greenfield Global, Ingredion, and Giant Tiger will be making $5,000 donations each to help support our swimming and summer camp programs. Check presentations will take place first week of July. For ball diamonds, we're getting good use out of our diamonds. Johnstown is used 4 nights a week, Spencerville 2 to 3 nights a week, and the Cardinal Diamond, the Seaway Surge fastball are using it 3 nights a week for practices.
Good.
Boat launch as of June 19th, 230 have registered with the online form, with 102 being non-residents. Inflatable Day was a huge success, with over 100 families attending in the morning event. For the flags, the Pride Flag flags will actually come down on July 1st, and all Canadian flags will be replaced on June 28th. For hockey season, we started working with various associations. Ingredient will open on August 31st, while Spencerville will open on September 25th. For the Johnson pickleball and tennis courts, everything is looking to be completed, and hoping for the marking of lines to be done this week. And it will have 1 tennis court and 4 pickleball courts will be available.
Are we looking, excuse me, so will we be looking at the 1st of July opening of the pickleball court?
Through the chair,
The chair to,
The chairs that have been there. Provided weather-wise, he is scheduled to come, this week to start the application. He'll do more than likely the pickleball court side first, and the tennis courts.
I'm sorry?
He'll do the pickleball court side first and then the tennis court side.
Right.
There's still 2 poles to go in. On Friday afternoon, they put the pickleball court poles in, and there's still 2 tennis court ones that are when they come down this week.
So
I'm not giving the timeline.
it will be done this summer though.
Oh, it will be done within the next 2 weeks, but I don't want to say
Okay.
July 1st and
Okay.
not happen.
Question 2, is all the repairs done on the, where the posts were heaved and the pavement?
Yes, that has been completed.
Thank you. Continue on, sorry.
of course. And to go back, ADP stands for automatic data processing.
Wow.
Fast.
Great about that.
There you go. I'm just curious. I didn't know you didn't know either.
Moving on to public works.
That's me, anyway.
So we interviewed 3 candidates for the public works equipment operator 1 position. Successful applicant Todd Templeton, start date was today, June 24th. We have a tandem truck with snowplow and sanding equipment that was issued May 21st and is closing on July 2nd. So that is the retender for the plow truck that we didn't get sufficient tenders on early in the year. For the 2024 road program, staff participating in a pre-construction startup meeting with Eastern Engineering and Tackleberry and Sons. First phase in Johnstown will begin July 15th and the second phase in September. Reed Street and Cardinal will begin in August. The remaining locations are being finalized. Weir Road Bridge project remains on schedule. Only a couple minor modifications and adjustments based on field observations. For the Hyman Bridge on CR 22, we're informed that a full closure of the Hyman Bridge with detour route up for an 8-week period is required to facilitate repair works. Following the full closure period, the roadway will be reduced to 1 lane, alternating traffic for additional 20 weeks. The ultimate completion date is for early September. Staff are working with the contractor and county staff to minimize additional secondary issues with the upcoming full road closure on CR 20.
Stuff on
So,
that first.
let's step on
There's gonna
that
be,
for a second.
there's gonna be a whole bunch on this.
Yeah.
So I mean, we, you know, a full closure, I mean, I think we might have, there's some lessons learned, I think, from, you know, at least the input that I've been given from my constituents is that they didn't know ahead of time, they didn't know all the information, it affected farming, it affected other things as well. Do we know what kind of information has been given to, I guess, anybody who could possibly use that road? I mean, that's a, you know, there's a lot of traffic goes down that road. It seems to be, that, you know, I mean, I found out about it here, for instance, and I don't think everybody has to read this. But, you know, so I don't know how we get this word out and you know, I mean, I don't think we can stop it, but we also want to make sure that, you know, residents are aware of what the detour roads look like, maybe somehow on our social media and however else we can get the word out, to be honest. I think it's a concern, and I mean, it should be the counties who do this, but, you know, I'm not sure if they have a plan on this, but we really need some more information on this one, I think.
To the chair of the council award, I'll reach out, I'll have staff reach out to the county and get some direction and based on direction.
I can give a little bit. I mean, I certainly sit through meetings.
Yeah.
So, you know, with this project to it's an extensive project. It's getting a carbon fiber replacement on the, you know, facelift on the girders, right? And without the full closure, it's a year-long process. So they did the 8-week closure so that it took into account farming. So that, you know, crops were in the ground and they want the work done and completed before crops get harvested. And that was the ultimate goal. They understand that a closure is not wanted. It's not really the best option, but to get it done in a timely fashion and get the process completed this year, it was the only possible way that it could be done. So from, you know, from a notification standpoint, other than me sitting in a meeting, you know, a week or two ago, knowing full well that it's coming to our staff and to be put out through social media, there's not, from a notification standpoint, there's really not much more that I can notify about it. And as far as voting for it, it's how I voted. So, I mean,
It needs to be done, I hear you.
Yeah.
I understand that, I just, you know,
I hear it's not popular. I understand it's not popular. It's needed and it's the way that it's getting done.
Yeah, we kicked the can on this.
Sure,
for
it needs to be
many,
done.
many years,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
Now, my only concern is, on that, Mr. Mayor, is there any dialogue where this detours are gonna be? Like, we do have, in November, they said it's gonna be ready, I mean, the corn, the beans are gonna be all
Yeah.
off.
The
That's
8-week
gonna
closure will be
big-
long done by then, I think, right?
Sorry?
The 8-week closure will be done by then. It should be done by, I don't remember when the start, do you have the start date? It should be, it's well
It says
before.
on the
harvest, right?
completion date is scheduled for early November, completion date.
Isn't that the total completion
That's the
date?
total. complete.
Yeah,
That's the total
20
completion
weeks.
date,
Yeah.
right? So you should be.
I'm not even sure if you can get through there with one lane, can you with the transport? I don't know.
Yeah, I think in my mind, the way
The
that,
weight?
the way that it was set up in the discussion is so that the one lane could facilitate some of the tractors. So if you're talking, you know, like a full on double wheel, then
Yeah,
I think the
no.
answer probably is no.
No,
No,
no.
but that
I'm
is
talking
something we
like
can,
a tractor.
we can follow up, but the full closure should be done by September, by my understanding.
Okay. I
It
don't
should be
think
to the
it
one
is.
lane for
Okay.
October and November.
Okay,
That's, or September and October and full opening in November. That's the way that I understand it.
we do have to get our members out, like, especially our farmers.
Sure.
And maybe that's where the port can come in handy is sending out letters, cause they get all the addresses.
Yeah.
Traveling from Kempo.
Well, let's
to
get
Lima.
the accurate information
Right.
from counties as to what the exact timeline is.
And what our detours are.
And whatever we need to get out
You two are gonna
to.
have to go through Ventnor now,
to
to
those.
go back to Hines.
It's-
Well, I don't know.
They have a way that they'll do
Yeah.
it, so.
Okay. I'm just
Get
concerned.
that
about
info, and get it back. I knew that was gonna.
But I'm
be-
glad-
I knew that was gonna be a discussion, but that's the way that it, I mean.
I'm glad it is, because we kicked the can, it was getting dangerous.
100%. Well, I mean, it's either that or it's closed altogether.
Yeah.
So. Take it back.
No.
Yeah.
Good call.
Moving on. So all of our bridge inspections, biennial bridge inspections have been done. Report includes a 5-year forecast and recommended maintenance, inspections, and investment level. Mary Street Outlet, work is complete and holdback is being released to the contractor. Moving on to environmental services, a lot of routine items, hydrant flushing completed, routine rounds done, no major issues. Did a sanitary main flushing on Walker Street South. Now Westwards, Meadowlands Drive, St. Lawrence and Maple Streets. Also did some CCTV inspection on Walker South sanitary mains. And Kavanaugh Construction addressed defects identified during the County Road 2 project. Moving on to fire department. So on the HR side, one additional firefighter who is self-employed with some daytime availability has been hired. His training will begin in due course, and we had one probationary firefighter resign due to relocating to Saskatchewan for work. Planning is started on a fall firefighter for a day program. Concept is similar to the successful women's boot camp format, but open to both men and women interested in learning about opportunities with the ECFD. For fleet, the annual pump testing is scheduled to take place on August 16th by Iron Trade Works Perth. Fire prevention, the CFD will be attending Port Day along with the Prescott Fire Department on Saturday. In facilities, the RFP for Fire Station 2 feasibility study closed on June 18th. 6 proposals were received ranging in price from $19,900 to $73,000. The successful firms Colborne and Campbell Architects, CKA, from Kingston with a price of $19,900. CKA worked on the project previously by providing ongoing guidance, including the options analysis in 2020. Their familiarity of the project allowed them to offer a very competitive price. The fire department also participated in this year's EOFA competition on June 15th. Everyone had a great time and finished 5th out of 10 teams. Next year, it will be hosted in Merrickville. And that is my CAO's administrative update.
All right, questions in regard to the CAO's update? We kind of did a few along the way, but are there further?
I guess just with regards to, I'm not even sure where it fit in. I sort of, it reflected my memory when I was looking at the Spencerville Fair banner signs and, you know, and I know there's other things that are going on, and I just want to say thanks to staff actually for, they're doing all sorts of things, working with various organizations that are out here to start to use those banners more and things like and other signage and everything else to really try and continue the community cooperation that we have. So I just want to say a thank you to all the staff that are involved in that process. And then last but not least, for the fire for fleet, last I heard, and maybe it's come back and I just missed it, but did we not have did we get the tanker, the new tanker back? It was under award for some warranty work, I believe it was. I'm not burned or not.
Through the chair, that's correct. It was, we'd have to, I think, for 2 days. They got a bunch of it here. So it is back, yeah.
Good, perfect. So,
Do you have anything? You good?
No.
Fine. What? No, I want to echo, Councillor Ward's comments on the banners, and there was some damage. I think, Mike, you might have been still away even and dealt with the damage while you were away, and I just wanted to say thank you, because I think by the time I got home that night, that was repaired and fixed and new and put up, and I really appreciate, you know, that kind of response. It's fantastic to see. So whoever was involved, I'm very appreciative of that. It goes to show in that specific example as to why there is a need to have those up, right? That, you know, they get damaged in the way that they were damaged. It just shows the need as to why they're there in the first place. So, yeah, it's good. All right, so moved and seconded. I don't think I had any questions either, other than thank you for your report, CAO. Certainly a lot going on for sure. So receiving the report as presented, no further comments, seeing none, then I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, so then it's probably me.
I do.
Deputy Mayor.
Inquiries?
Oh, inquiries, sorry. Inquiries, notice of motion.
I do.
Deputy Mayor.
I just want to thank our staff here, Mike and all of our recreation staff for on Saturday helping at the Port of Johnstown. Our staff at the Port of Johnstown, from Stephanie to Rhonda, port manager. It was 100% successful. I never had one complaint. All I had was complete compliments, how organized it was, how nice it was. Didn't realize what the Port of Johnstown really did. But it's a lot of work, a lot of time, and it's something I don't think we should have every year, but we can do that at different times. I know we did. But anyways, I just, well done, Joe, you helped, it was just great. So I just kudos to everyone who participated. Well done, well deserved to have your pat in the back, so thank you.
Well said, Deputy Mayor. Increase notice of motion, Councillor Smith.
I have one, just want to say thanks to the Mike staff for helping at the Johnstown swim pool meet on Sunday. I came in late, but I was working, so but everything looked like it went really well, and, I was really pleased to see how many people were there. Plus, I have one inquiry about, the canal cleanup. Is it completely done through the chair to the CAO? The reason I'm asking is because, the California maples are growing really crazy right in front of the sign on the way to the highway. I thought we were gonna get rid of them, so I'm just asking if it's completely done or is it gonna continue.
Through the chair to Councillor Smale, I will have to follow up on that, and I will, I'll respond to council once I get it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm good.
You good, Chris?
Yeah, just one, I mean, and it probably stems from, it was great to see so many things happening in all four quarters essentially of the township, and, it was actually really hard, even for, we had get extra information, it was still hard to keep track of all the things going on, and, so, you know, to that point, and I know we wanna try and figure out a communication strategy and things like that. Do we know when we'd be able to maybe see that conversation we were talking about prior for communication strategy, things like advertising, things like that?
Through the chair to Councillor Ward, I would expect, later this week, early next week, I should get a draft version of the strategic plan. And that would drive those discussions. So once the strategic plan is complete, then we can move on to the next step, which is,
Realistically, you're not gonna see it before September, right? Like that's, you have to be realistic. We've said it several times on the communications front that we're not gonna see it till September. So, you know, I understand where you're coming from, but I think you're gonna have to be patient.
No, September is what I kind of expected, I just, you know, it sounds like it's on track for that, that's good, so.
Yeah.
Hi, to the mayor, I just wanna say, that Kavanaugh's did the fantastic job on laying the sod down on Cardinal, and they watered it and it looks beautiful. I'm just wondering through the CAO to the CAO, will we be taking over the watering, or is, Kavanaugh coming back all the time watering until it's days? Or are we gonna rely on the rain?
through the CAO to Councillor Smale. This was part of the contract with Kavanaugh, so Kavanaugh will be responsible for watering it until takes, and if we get another heat wave and it needs to be replaced, they will replace it until we're satisfied with it.
Well, looks good right now, thank you, that's it, no more.
Good, all right. Everybody satisfied? Okay, approved answers and parties and notice of motion, mayor's report, Deputy Mayor, you wanna bring it up?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, moved by myself and seconded by Joe Martell that Municipal Council of Seaton Mayor's report as presented.
What's the score?
That wasn't one.
That's okay, you can tell me.
1-1.
1-1, good, it's good to have that update. All right, so the mayor's report will start out as the score is 1-1. For anybody that wanted to know, well, there you go. Taping. 1963. All right, I'll start with EOFA Brian to the chief, sorry, and the fire guys that were there and gals that were there. Fantastic. It was, as always, it was as much fun to watch in Prescott as it was to watch here in Edwardsburg Cardinal. I think maybe the results for you guys weren't as good, but certainly they have a fantastic layout there, and it was a lot of fun. We went to the dance afterwards, and it was certainly a well attended day, I would say. And from my perspective, the professionalism that the group showed was like spot on, very well. Yeah, proud of the guys. Port of Johnstown this weekend for Port Days. You know, I don't even know where to start about Port Days. I was so worried when I woke up in the morning and saw the weather. I don't know who ordered the weather to hold off until at 3:30 or 4 o'clock when it actually held off.
I did worship, that was
Well, fantastic job. But it could not have been any better, and I don't know that they could have handled many more people than what they actually got this year. So for the first time in, I don't remember if it was 2016, 2017 when the last one actually was. 2018. Yeah. But absolutely spot on, so well received. Children super happy, from from partners like Giant Tiger, to the food bank, to, Jones Rail or Cruise. And who am I missing? Like, there's
Yeah.
a dozen people I'm
No,
probably
you're
missing,
right.
Little Rays,
South
like,
Granville Food Bank, I'm going around personally, because I can't believe.
Yeah.
Under the grill all day there, I just can't believe.
yeah, it's crazy. Just under $1,700 raised for the area food
Was
bank
it?
as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So,
Nice
to
area.
Robert and the staff at the port, to Mike and our staff that helped and facilitated, to every volunteer that was involved. You guys, like, we are so proud of that place and what it means to the township, but it's so nice to see everybody come together and do such a fantastic job and get to, I mean, it's not the prettiest looking place in the world, but it is pretty fun to show off, and that view from the roof is fantastic. So to everyone involved, like, that's a triple thumbs up. That's,
we get it back to that.
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. To Mike and the recreation staff, but the grass cutting this year has been like awesome. Everybody, I think, is doing a really, really, really good job. The new lights are so well received at the Ball Diamonds. I know the Ball Diamonds are seeing use that they haven't probably seen since I was a kid, maybe. And it's so nice to do that. It's great to hear Sean say that the Surge, I know I was talking to Ryan Fisher about, the Surge using the Cardinal Diamond again, because they can't find time anywhere else, and they know that there might be time there. So, managing that one field and keeping it up and keeping it going is fantastic as well. And it's nice to see that's growing. It's amazing. I know, can't say enough about Aaron Forche and the Jewels program that they're doing. It's the 15-year-old girls, like it's awesome to see it happening again. It's been so long since it's been that busy, and we've had this debate for 5 years. I think I was here that, nobody uses them, and then we'd have the debate that nobody used them because they're not well maintained enough, and now they're being used and they're well maintained. So we are doing exactly what we said, and it's so nice to see. So thank you to you and your staff for making sure that continues. Yeah. That carries on to the pools as well, and every year I'll eat this as long as I'm here. But the heat that comes to those pools, I know that the kids started using that Johnstown pool in early June, and they started going back and forth to do a free swimming lesson now and then, and watching that happen. My own child was one of the kids that he says he hates swimming, but yet he goes and enjoys it every time he goes. So, but the heat in the pools makes that available. Otherwise, they'd be going in this weekend and it'd still be 60 degrees. So, that's fantastic. It's nice to see that they're full. I love seeing that there's 40 counselors and so many lifeguards that are there. I was worried to death that we wouldn't have enough staff, and managed to pull it off again this year. So to the rec staff again, fantastic. Yeah, it's great. Please, pass that along to everyone involved, right? So, and lastly, to this group who authorized the purchase of a piece of land a while ago, that the deputy mayor sat in on that meeting on the 20th at the United Counties, and I can't say how proud I am of this group for making the decision to continue along with that mandate that we all talked about. Nobody wanted to be the last mega dump site in Canada or anywhere ever again, and to finally be able to move that needle and put that awful, that difficult, that divisive discussion behind us on the 20th at County's Council. I was so happy to see the DM be able to sit in on my behalf and get that finalized. It means the world to me. And tonight we authorized the disbursement of those dollars. So from mayor's report, it's so nice to have that behind us. Now all I see is what's in the future, and it's to sit and have those discussions of what is the end vision for that property. So thank you all for being part of that and sticking to your mandates and getting it done. It means the world to me. It's one of the biggest things that I wanted to get done in my time on council. So thank you. All right, and that's it. That's all. Am I missing anything, Steve? Sorry.
No. Well done.
I think the only other one is Wednesday night for Follow 44, right? I think Follow 44 Wednesday night at 6:30, right?
Oh, and Thursday,
What's Thursday?
Thursday is, sub-criminal chambers at the Cardinal Pavilion.
Oh, was that Thursday?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the first week, first Thursday.
What time is that one?
6:30.
5 p.m. to 8,
What is it?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. It's a 5-day.
All right. Good. Okay, and so that's it for the mayor's report as presented. It's been moved and seconded, correct? All right, then questions on the mayor's report? Anyone?
I just couldn't resist, you know, the whole concept of, if we build it, they will come, you know, I mean, that's what happened with the baseball diamond as well as other activities, so, yeah.
Put the investment in, right? Yeah, and it sometimes it takes a long time, you know, and I've said it about 8019 or, you know, the Byers Road parcel. It's not gonna happen overnight. It may not happen in our term, it may not happen in the next term, but that chunk of land is gonna be a vital piece of property for some council as we move forward. It's a long process, right? So, but keeping up with what we have, ball diamonds, tennis courts, pools, you know, our facilities, it's so important.
And to the mayor's credit, you said what you said about E19 so eloquently, I was not gonna add anything to it, just did a great job, so good job with that.
Thank you. You all did. All right, so I'll call the question as the receiving report. All in favor? Of course you are. The signature, it doesn't look like I am the one signing by the time I get to an end of the meeting. It's very different at the end than it was at the beginning. Question period, are there any questions at all? No, everybody's left us. I did thank Jones Rail in my report, didn't I? I did mention Cruz and Jones Rail. Okay. So then we're gonna go into closed session. Councillor Smale.
Well, thank you, your worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Joe Martel that the municipal council proceeds into closed session at 8:45 p.m. in order to address the matter pertaining to A, section 239 brackets 2, bracket B, personal matters about the unidentified individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically Byers Road property. B, section 239 2C, acquisition of disposition of land by the municipality or local board, specifically Byers Road property. C, 239 bracket 2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically minutes of closed session dated December 11th, 2023, December 21st, 2023, and May 6th, 2024.
Good. Call the question on going into closed. All in favor? Okay, we're in close. We'll take a 5-minute break.
Thank you, your worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Joe Martel, that the closed meeting of municipal council does now adjourn, and the open meeting does now resume at 9:29 p.m.
Thank you, Councillor Smale. I will call the question on returning to open session. All in favor? Okay, we're back in open session and reporting out of closed session. Council met in closed session under section 239 2B and C to discuss matters about an identifiable individual, specifically the Byers Road property and potential acquisition or disposition of land, specifically Byers Road property, and gave direction to the CAO. We also looked at minutes, correct, and coming out of that, we have minutes to pass.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Chris Ward, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of closed sessions dated December 11th, 2023, December 21st, 2023, and May the 6th, 2024.
We were really in here December 21st, 2023. Merry Christmas. I'll call the question on approval of the closed session minutes. All in favor? Okay, those minutes are passed. And so, Councillor Ward, you have the confirmation bylaw.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Joe Martel, that a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be now passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2024-37.
Awesome, thank you, Councillor Ward. All right, final matters we dealt with tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, adjournment, deputy mayor.
Moved by myself and second by Mr. Smell that Municipality Council does now adjourn 9:31 p.m.
Not debatable, call the question, all in favor, and we are adjourned.
Councilor Smith still won. I did the best I could.
What's that? Still 1-1.
For Edmonton.